Hey guys, real quick before this video starts, you know SI Not Found, right? Yeah, they're pretty cool. I actually just did a collab with SI Not Found. Oh, actually just Carrie from SI Not Found. It was like a podcast kind of thing. We both made Overwatch League playoffs brackets and we talked about it and it was pretty fun and Carrie's a cool guy, so go watch that, but not before you watch this one. Okay, thanks, bye! 20 teams, 20 weeks, and hundreds of games. Here we are. The regular season for Overwatch League Season 2 has come to a close. We saw new players take the stage, stars were born, veterans retired, and sometimes they came back. But at the end of it all, 12 teams stand with a shot at the Overwatch League Season 2 trophy. Regular season performances be damned. If last season was any indication, there is no telling what's about to happen. And any team that has a seat has a legitimate shot to take the title. But how are the teams standing heading into it? Who has the best shot at the championship? And who's just gonna wish that they stayed home? Let's take a look, shall we? This was the stage that the Atlanta Reign needed so badly. After two losing stages in a row and looking to be pretty much out of the discussion, maybe they'd be in the play-in tournament, Atlanta exploded into the role-lock meta and put together a perfect 7-0 record. And this wasn't a super easy schedule either. To do this, the Reign had to get past fellow playoff teams in the Spark and the Spitfire, as well as other Stage 4 breakout teams like the Justice. All of a sudden, the Reign went from not even secure in the playoffs at all, to clinching the last spot in the top 6, able to skip past the play-ins entirely. How did they do it? Well, the first thing we have to talk about are the breakout performances of Erster. Man, am I glad that Brig Jail isn't a thing anymore. Mei, Reaper, Hanzo, Tracer, Genji, Doomfist, Erster has turned into the ideal flex DPS player, someone you can plug in on literally any character and expect him to perform. Having a player like that has been a huge help for this team. Something else we have to talk about is FRD taking the starting off-tank spot from Dako full-time. Maybe it's because he synergizes better with some of the Western players on the roster. Maybe Dako is causing some internal issues. Which, if some of the reports earlier in the season were true, wouldn't be ridiculously surprising. Either way, FRD has slotted into the main roster quite nicely, and I'd say no one is really missing Dako right now. There's also Dogman, who has been labeled as a weakness for this team for a while, but he's really turned it around recently. He's been one of the most confident players in the league, with some occasional trash talk as well, and now he actually has good performances to back it up. Add in Bebe and Lair getting comfortable with their roles on the team, and an already solid Pokpo and Masa, and you have a white-hot team that even the Shock should be nervous about having in the first round. Congratulations, Chengdu! You're the beneficiary of the LA Valiant failing to get their 13th win on their own home turf. You defied all preseason expectations by being just average enough to sneak into the playoffs by the skin of your teeth. So now what? You were known as the team that played DPS when no one else would, but now that everyone has to play DPS, there's nothing special about you anymore. All you have are decent DPS players and Hammond strategies that get absolutely destroyed in the Orisa Hog meta. How does Amen like getting pulled, hooked, frozen, and slept at the same time? Sure, you run some Orisa too, but that gets consistently outclassed by almost every other team in the bracket. Now you have to hang with the big boys, but your panda emotes won't get you any pity here. Winning even a single playoff game would be a massive upset for you because all signs point to you getting your faces smashed in by their first round opponent in the play-ins, which is conveniently the next team I get to talk about. People were looking at the Charge as a prime candidate to improve in the role-lock meta, and they have been absolutely correct. Riding off of incredible DPS play from Happy and Narrow, the Charge looked to finally be clicking on all cylinders just like everyone thought they could. Happy's Widowmaker is one of the best in the entire league at the moment. Definitely one of the best in the playoffs since people like Corey and Saya Player won't be there. And on the other side, Narrow has been quietly proving himself over and over again with solid play on heroes like Mei and Genji. Since the DPS are finally pulling their weight, the tanks and supports have a lot more room to work with. And because of this, people like Rio, Happa, and Char have looked better than they have all season. However, Sideshow made a very good point about the Charge during their post-show on Sunday night. Their success in Stage 4 has a lot to do with Happy just taking control on the snipers. But we're looking at a brand new meta in Stage 4, one where meta could potentially have to deal with at least 2 shields pointing directly at him at all times. If Happy can't pop off, and all of a sudden the charge might be in a bit of trouble. The Spark have found themselves on a consistent upwards trend since the beginning of the season. And after 20 weeks, they've gone from the scared team who had no idea which main tank they wanted to the championship threat that we all knew they could be. Gushui's inclusion into the MVP voting, while slightly contested, isn't super surprising. This is a main tank that can play every single hero expected of him to an extremely high level, and his Winston in particular is in discussion for the best in the world at the moment. He is still the star of this show, and anyone who wants to beat the Spark has to beat him. Of course, that doesn't mean he's not the only threat on the team. IDK has been a top tier main support all season long, Ria's Roadhog has been one of the best in the entire league, Hedora and Godsby are making the Spark saying, actually, Crystal, you can stay in China, we're good. However, the Spark haven't been quiet about the stage fright issues that affected their team early in the season. Now the pressure is higher than ever. Will it plague them again? The London Spitfire are, unfortunately, a team on the decline. They've failed over and over again to reach their Season 1 playoffs form throughout the entire year and through several different metas. They've mostly been kept alive by still incredible performances by Prophet and Fury, but many players on the Spitfire like Birdring, Bedosin, and Gesture just look not as dominant as their Season 1 counterparts. Not even the injection of new players like Quatermain has been enough to breathe life into them. Don't get me wrong, the Spitfire are good, but it's been a while since I could truly consider them great, and now they find themselves with a lower seed than expected and have to prove themselves with everything on the line. Wait, doesn't this sound a little familiar? Oh, right, this is exactly what happened last time. Do the Spitfire look like contenders at the moment? No. But if Season 1 was any indication, the second you count out the Spitfire, the next thing you know, you're watching from home as they lift up the trophy. Now, the Gladiators. This is a team on a mission. After establishing themselves once and for all as Season 2's superior L8 team, the Gladiators get to compete in the playoffs as a solid member of the top 6. Honestly, what is there not to like about this team? Roar and Void have grown into an extremely capable tank line, Decay and Surefour are both incredible DPS with the potential to take over a game, Shaz and Big Goose have not let up on their reliability all season long, and while it's rare, if you ever see Hydration take the stage, you better be worried, because something crazy is about to happen. Yes, the Gladiators are one of the most complete teams in the whole league right now, and I'd be listing them as a contender, absolutely, if it wasn't for one extremely noticeable blemish on their resume. The Gladiators have never won a playoff series. Season 1 Stage 3, Season 1 Stage 4, Season 1 Overalls Playoffs, Season 2 Stage 2, the Gladiators are 0-4 and getting to the second round of any playoff bracket. And I've been hesitant on using the term legacy of failure for any Overwatch League team since it's so new, but the Gladiators are on their way. They need a playoff win now in order to dispel this legacy, but the team in their way in round 1? The Spark, who the Gladiators have failed to defeat in the 2 times that they've met. With all the power invested in me as a YouTuber, I'm going to have to certify that as an official bruh moment. For the NYXL, I just have one question. What are you? Are you the powerhouses who smashed through most of the teams in your way to get a 22-6 record? Or are you the underdogs who have only won 1 playoff game all season despite qualifying for all 3 stage playoffs? On paper, an NYXL lineup of Mono and Meko, Libero, Nene, Jonak, and Animo, it should be really solid. And they have shown flashes of greatness throughout the season, especially on the back of some great main tank play from Mono and some incredible flexibility from Libero. But NYXL have consistently failed to make it happen when it matters most. Now, this is the overall playoffs, and you know that NYXL has their embarrassing performance last year, where they couldn't adapt to a new meta fast enough, playing through their heads over and over again. If NYXL makes yet another early exit, maybe we should stop giving them the sandbagging excuse. Maybe they're just not as good of a team as we think they are. So how do they avoid this? Simply come in prepared. Playoffs will introduce Sigma to Overwatch League, as well as a boatload of balance changes. Teams who look comfortable in this new meta are almost certainly the ones who will go far. Maybe their secret weapon is Flower. After getting almost no playtime all season, Flower took the stage during the rivalry weekend and just completely took over Hanamura against the Titans. Now, to be fair, the Titans basically refused to run anything to counter his Pharah. Like, it was established halfway through that Mei and D.Va wouldn't be enough, but they just didn't swap. But you can't deny that he really looked good in this game. If teams have to prepare for Nene, Saebyeolbe, or Flower at once, obviously counting NYXL out is a mistake. Out of all of the teams in this tournament, NYXL has the most to prove. That makes them dangerous. The Fusion ended up finishing the season in 10th place overall, which I think fits their performance very well. Meh. The Fusion, much like the Spitfire, are a team who haven't really been able to recapture their finals performance all season long. The former all-star DPS duo of Carpe and EQO have faded behind new, more explosive DPS players, and the same can be said of Sato and Pokepo, and of Boombox and Neptuno. They're good. They're just good. Good doesn't win championships. However, just like the Spitfire, the Fusion are a team that you could be looking at to catch fire at the right time. After all, the Grand Finals are being held in their own turf, and that has to be fuel for them. But if the Fusion want to get there, they need to climb their way through the play-in tournament, as well as being one of the lowest seeds in the regular tournament. It's a tough ask for sure, but we've seen the Fusion's potential. We've seen them pull off miracles before. It's time to put up or shut up, Philly. Good luck. As of right now, the San Francisco Shock are the best Overwatch team in the world. What other team can say that they competed in all 3 stage finals? What other team can say that they completed the Golden Stage, a stage with 0 map losses? What other team can say with confidence that they can succeed in any meta, with the results to back it up? No other team can say this. Let's just take this roll by roll. At main tank recently, we've been seeing Smurf at the reins, probably because the Shock like his Orisa better. But the Shock could put in Super at any time for Rhine strategies, or for maps where they think you might be flexing a little bit, and Super has exploded this season and definitely deserves his MVP nomination. Off-tank has Choi Hobin, who at the very least is a top 3 off-tank in the entire world right now. D.Va, Hog, Zarya, this dude is exceptional at them all. Will he add Sigma to that list? Or maybe Nevix, who could start on most other teams, will end up taking that title. DPS is probably the deepest and most impressive spot of them all. Architect, Sinatra, Rascal, and Striker have just about every single character in the game covered, and preparing for all of them at once is a nightmare, especially because Sinatra on tank and Rascal on support is not impossible. Then on support we have Violet, one of the breakout rookies of the season, and the always collected Moth, who the team has identified as their backbone and one of their main shot callers. What the Shock have achieved with this roster is unlike anything we've ever seen in the Overwatch League up to this point. Yes, the Shock are the best Overwatch team in the world. That title is theirs to lose this postseason. They did it. After Season 1's incredible disappointment, the Dynasty have qualified for the playoffs and will be seeing postseason action. The question now is, how far can they go? The Dynasty are my dark horse team in the playoffs this year, and here's why. The Dynasty are perhaps the most flexible team in Overwatch League. I think we can say at this point that they are the first team to really find success with the seemingly random rotating roster that teams like the Spitfire tried and ultimately failed to do in Season 1. On all positions except for main tank, the Dynasty have 2 different players that they could slot in at any time, depending on the comps they want to run, the maps they're playing on, or just how they're feeling that day. So teams that are up against the Dynasty not only have to prepare for a whole new meta, but they also have to prepare for so many potential team comps that it's impossible to make a plan for them all. You just have to hope for the best. And in the playoffs, hope is not what you want to be relying on. However, what the Dynasty have in unpredictability, they lack in true star power. Maybe it's due to so many players splitting stage time, but not even well-known names like Fleta, Ru Hong, or Toby have had much time to shine individually. New names like Fitz, Michelle, and Marvel have made their mark, but will it be enough against some of the most star-powered teams in the league? I'm not sure. We all remember it like it was yesterday. The dragons jumping around the stage as confetti poured down the entire arena. The screens glowed with red as Shanghai winds floated across them. The Shanghai Dragons had pulled off the improbable bracket run of a lifetime and had just won the Stage 3 championship. The Dragons looked like the best team in the world. Now, after a 1-6 stage, the Dragons are just looking for answers. What happened? Well, if I could try and diagnose the problem, I would say that in Stage 3, the Dragons thrived off of comps that disrupted the GOATS comps that their opponent would usually play. This would mean a Sombra or a Doomfist throwing off the rhythm, allowing a Widowmaker or a Pharah to get the kills that they need. Notice how they would literally never play D.Va in Stage 3, always opting for a triple DPS or Sombra with DM on Zarya. They were not confident in Envy or Geguri to do what they needed to do. Luckily, in Stage 3, they didn't need them. Now in Stage 4, they need a good off-tank. That's definitely been a problem, but I think the bigger problem here is the fact that the meta has changed to a point where the Dragons don't directly counter most of the other teams anymore. Everyone has to play DPS, and therefore, everyone should be running stuff to try and counter Ding's Pharah. Him and DM just can't get away with whatever they want anymore. The Dragons can't play their game, and now they're lost. Let's hope that someone on the Dragons is a god at Sigma, or they figure out some new way to counter it. If not, the Dragons have no chance at a second Miracle playoff run. In Stage 4, the Vancouver Titans have looked shaky. Now, this isn't to say that they haven't looked good, they've just placed lower than the incredibly high bar they've set for themselves. When people are saying that you're washed up after a 5-2 stage, chances are you're probably not washed up. However, right now the Titans look more beatable than they ever have. In Stage 4, it felt like they wanted to bring back the glory days in a way, and play the comp that was as close to GOATS as you could get in 2-2-2. So they played Mei Reaper almost exclusively, and for the most part, it worked. The Titans are still a top 5 team in the league for sure, but all of a sudden they're looking one-dimensional, and even a little desperate, experimenting with different DPS lineups, and also with their year-long sub, Repel. Now, you could interpret Repel as the Titans already being locked in as Pacific champions and wanting him to get some stage time, but I don't understand why you run a DPS lineup of Stitch and Siominsu unless you're trying things out to see what sticks. We've also seen a lot more Hureg this stage, which has been interesting and speaks even more to their experiments, because everyone knows you're not supposed to let Hureg play. You're supposed to have him cheer you on from the bench, and then his magical bench abilities just make you win. You just win. Of course, Janu, Haxel, and Slime are all very good players, same from Twilight, even if Repel is the Moira guy. The question is if the Titans will be able to put it together like they had their GOATs together at the beginning of the season. If they could do that, the Titans absolutely have a shot at the title. Well, you've met the teams, seen where they stand going into the bracket, but now it's time for my predictions. Who will I be jinxing today? For the play-in bracket, I think the Spitfire should make it out with relative ease. As far as the other spot, it depends on if Happy can continue his dominance for the Charge. If he can, then the Charge will take the spot. If not, then I think the Dynasty should edge them out. But for the real playoffs, the only team I can really put my chips on right now is the Shock. In a season full of chaos and teams constantly moving up and down on the power rankings, San Francisco has been the exception, consistently near or at the top all season, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. I have faith in them to figure out Sigma quickly and find someone on that crazy roster of theirs to excel with him. Now, there are plenty of other teams with a decent shot at the trophy, but with the season we've had so far, the Shock are the ones with the best chance at winning it all. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and know a little bit more about the teams in the postseason going into this weekend. Who are you rooting for? Let me know in the comments. And of course, make sure to like and subscribe for more competitive Overwatch content. With Gauntlet and the World Cup on the way, there's plenty to talk about. Until next time though, that's all from me. Don't get tilted.